Epping Forest is very dark at this time of the morning. Good morning, it's 6 AM, it's Christmas Eve, it's dark, it's just started raining, and I'm riding to Richmond Park in South London. Whose idea was this? So yes, it's Christmas Eve, there are 7 days left until the end of the year, and I am 164 miles shy of my 2023 miles in 2023. So last night I came up with this harebrained idea to ride to Richmond Park in South London and back, which would be about 92 miles. Although dependent on how I feel when I get back, I might want to do that extra 8 miles just to make it up to an Imperial Century. I've got Jimmy joining me for part of the way. He's out with me for a couple of hours and then he's going to spin around and head back home for some family stuff, which, to be fair, I should probably be at home on Christmas Eve as well, but I've got this stupid goal that I've set myself and I don't want to lose it. So I'll be heading to London by myself. For now though, as it's fairly difficult to see me in this light, I think I'll leave you until the sun comes up a little bit more. Take care, brother. Yeah, buddy. Okay, Jimmy's just left me. I'm 16 miles in. I've got an hour until sunrise and the rain is starting to get quite heavy. And I have no rain jacket. The next 80 or so miles are all me. This is going to be a mental challenge. Okay, we have officially hit sunrise, although there's not much light to speak of, unfortunately, especially not as we ride through a tunnel. We are 2.5 hours in, 30 miles down, and I've just arrived at Hackney Fields, which just happens to be the start of the Danish Dynamo. It is incredibly windy today. I think this might be the tail end of Storm Pia that we're suffering in the UK at the moment. But yeah, the headwind has been strong this morning. But given that I'm taking exactly the same route home, I'm hoping that should mean I have a tailwind on the way back. Sounds like wishful thinking. But yeah, I'm in North London now. Next stop, Central London, and hopefully a few miles after that, Richmond Park, before the return journey. Oh, and did I mention I've already had a puncture this morning, back when it was pitch black and Jimmy was with me. But luckily we managed to get it fixed quickly and we were back on the road. So I'm hoping that's my only mechanical misfortune this morning. Hopefully the rest of this ride should be plain sailing. Columbia Road Flower Market, everyone getting their fresh flowers for Christmas. Lovely. Well, I've made it into the city and I don't know if it's just my imagination, but the wind seems even stronger. Woo! Well, no sooner do I say, hopefully that'll be the only mechanical I have, I get a flat on my front wheel. Right, let's do a Paris-Dakar style change of this. The second puncture of the morning dealt with. I'm not going to jinx it by saying I hope it's the last, so let's just see how we go. Well, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm trying to do 2023 miles this year, and again, as I've said, I know that's not a lot, but with a full-time job, kids to look after, and a wife at home with a DIY list as long as my arm, getting out on the bike isn't always the easiest. So as it currently stands, I'm 164 miles off my goal, as I said earlier. So I thought, well, I'll smash out a big ride today, and then over the next 6 or 7 days or so, I can do a few 20-mile rides, and finally, hopefully, reach my target. And the other thing is, I've never been to Richmond Park before on the bike, and I'd absolutely love to. So last night, planning a route, I thought, hey, sod it, let's go crazy. Let's do a big one. Welcome to Richmond Park. I've never been to Richmond Park before. I can honestly now say it's very lumpy. Sadly, that wind hasn't let up, though we know KOM of the Richmond Park loop gained today. I have to say this place is absolutely stunning. It's no wonder this is a cycling mecca. So although this is called Richmond Park, it's actually more of a forest because it's 2,500 square feet of open countryside. And an even duller fact, if you're interested, is that the United Nations designates any area that's covered in more than 20% trees is classed as a forest. So due to the amount of green space that London has, despite being a massive sprawling city, it could actually be considered a forest. Useless fact of the day for you. Well, that is Richmond Park done. First time I've ever done that. Hopefully not the last. But yeah, that was an absolute blast. So that's 50 miles down. Now it's just a small matter of the 45 back home. And then probably the additional 5 to make it up to a century. Oh, why do I do these things? One thing I will say though is now I'm on the way back heading north, I still seem to have a bit of a headwind, which is not cricket. I'm keen for that to change. I'll be honest though, unless anything very interesting happens, I probably won't feel much of the ride home, just because I don't want to keep boring you with montages of my route. So I guess I'll see you when I'm a bit closer to 100 miles. So I think this classes as something interesting. Changing the guard at Buckingham Palace. Oh, that said, unfortunately, I think we might be a bit early. It normally starts at about 11 and it's only 10:30, so I can only show you the police horses at the moment. Right, as you were, back to the boring montage. Back in the city and the wind has started again. Where is it coming from? Seriously, where is this wind coming from? I am being blown left and right, literally seconds apart. What a nightmare. Right, going through Columbia Road this time might be a bit more difficult. It is going to be rammed. Let's see how we get on. That was chaotic, but we made it. Well, here we are back in Epping Forest, and this is the part of the ride that I really wasn't looking forward to because, as I've stated previously in other videos, Epping Forest is very hilly. But I came here to do 2 things: drink juice and ride 100 miles, and I'm all out of juice. Which, to be fair, is not fortuitous because I could probably do with some right now. Yeah, I could really do with something to drink right about now. I'm struggling. I think I've only got one more slightly upward drag through the forest though, and I think there's a petrol station at the top on the roundabout, so I'll be stopping in for something to drink. Well, that feels much better, and thankfully I think that's all of the hills dispatched in Epping Forest now. I think there's a little bit of a climb, if I recall correctly, out of Epping itself, but once that's done it should just be the standard undulations of any bike ride. Boy, I'm looking forward to getting back now. 73 miles in, and now thankfully after a food stop we're still going strong. That's another hill I hate, the one coming up through Sawbridgeworth. It's not even that much of a hill, to be fair, but the only time I ever ride it is when I'm coming out of London and I've done all those hills to get out through Epping. Oh boy. Right, I'm at 85 miles, only about 10 miles left to go, and I'm starting to flag a little bit again, if I'm honest. I've just had the last of my energy chews, so hopefully they'll kick in about 5 or 10 minutes, and that should see me home. Oh, I'm looking forward to a cup of tea. Right, well that's 93 miles done and I am basically home. But it would be churlish to leave it there, wouldn't it? Right, let's do another 3.5 miles out and 3.5 miles back. Oh boy. I'm gonna be honest, this next 7 miles is not gonna be the fastest I've ever ridden. My legs are shredded. I'm ready for a sit down, a nice hot bath, and an even hotter cup of tea. But by the end of the ride, I will have completed an almost solo Imperial Century, and that's something to be proud of. At least I hope it is, and I hope that makes up for the pain that I'll no doubt be feeling tomorrow morning when my kids run downstairs to open their presents, and I'm having to crawl down on my hands and knees. Well, with 5 miles to go, I fear I may have another flat at the back. It seems decidedly spongy. Oh dear. Right, well I've stopped and it only feels slightly spongy, so I'm wondering if I can just get away with pumping it up. Maybe have to do that a couple of times and just get the last 5 miles done. Right, let's get it pumped and see how we get on. Well, that seems to be all right for now. Fingers crossed it lasts. Ah, the things we have to do. Well, there it is, 100 miles on the nose. Boy, that was a challenge and a struggle. 100 miles, 7 hours, 2.5 punctures. I had to pump up that rear tyre another couple of times just to make it back home the last 5 miles, but it made it. Now I can change that tyre at my leisure and not by the side of the road when it's cold and windy. And talking of wind, yeah, man, I have not felt gusts of wind like that for a very long time. That absolutely killed my average speed today. Normally heading down into London is a lovely 17-18 miles an hour average because, as I've said before, it's in a bowl and it's largely downhill. I managed 13.5 miles an hour average today just because the wind was an absolute killer. And you know, one other thing that disappointed me, no deer in Richmond Park. Oh well, that just means I've got an excuse to go back next time, I guess. Oh, and one other thing before I go that I didn't mention on the ride is I've just bought some new cycle cameras. Now, I didn't mention them on the ride because it's the first time I've had them on and first time using them, so I don't know what the footage is going to be like yet, but once I've used them a little bit, I'll give you a little mini review and let you know if they're worth the quite considerable money. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one, and by the time you're watching this, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas, and I wish you a very, very happy new year. I'll see you in 2024. Take care, guys. See you later. So 7.4, 3.5, 3.7, 3.7, 407, 93.3, 96.3, 96.3, and then home.